Great morning, everyone! I know you have been staying at home and at school for quite some time, so let me bring you to another place that you might have never been before. Are you ready? Let's go! Alright, we are now here. We will be talking all about the past. Let's get started. Think of your answer to the following questions. First, what did you do the moment that you had woken up earlier? What I did is, as soon as I had woken up, I fixed the beddings. Second, after you had answered the learning tasks in the module, what did you do? Maybe you could say that after you had answered the tasks in the module, you took a rest, right? Third, what did you do before you slept? As for me, I had prepared the lessons before I slept. Great job, everyone, in answering my questions. Probably you have noticed that we talked more on the things that you did yesterday. That's all because we will be discussing today the past and perfect tenses. Before we proceed with the discussion, why don't we check this out first? Let's see what this scroll wants us to do. What are you expected of at the end of this lesson? First, indicate past actions using past and past perfect tenses of the verb. Second, use the past and past perfect tenses correctly in varied contexts. And third, show understanding of the past and past perfect tenses. Now that we are already guided of what we are about to do, let's start the discussion. Simple past tense of the verb is used to express an action that happened and ended in the past. For regular verbs, past tense verbs end with d or ed, while irregular verbs form their past tense usually by either changing or retaining their spelling. Commonly, simple past is signaled by time indicators in the past, for example, last week, yesterday, a year ago, etc. Let's look at these example sentences. I enjoyed the party yesterday. The verb enjoyed is ending with ed, therefore it is a regular verb. It uses the time indicator yesterday, which adds to the idea that it's in the past tense. Another example. The teacher taught us the tenses of the verb. This example uses the verb taught. It is in the past tense, and since it does not use ed to form its past tense, we call it an irregular verb. Past perfect tense narrates past actions and events. A sentence that uses past perfect tense provides two actions in the past, wherein the first past action or condition is completed ahead of another past action. Now, all you need to remember is that both past tense and past perfect tense happened in the past. However, the verb in past perfect tense happened and finished earlier before another action in the past. For example, she had brushed her teeth before she took a bath. The verb in the past perfect tense is had brushed, and took is in the past tense. It only shows that the brushing of teeth happened and was completed first before she took a bath. Both actions are done in the past. The past perfect tense is usually formed using the following structures. For ordinary form, we have had plus past participle of the verb. For example, had eaten. Had is the auxiliary verb and eaten is the past participle of the verb eat. For continuous form, we had the pattern had been plus verb in ing. For example, had been eating. We are using the auxiliary verbs had and been and the continuous form of the verb eat, which is eating. The question is, how do we make the past participle of a verb? For regular verbs, add d or ed to the base form to create the past participle. For example, cook plus ed equals cooked, follow plus ed equals followed, and introduce plus d equals introduced. Past participles formed from irregular verbs may have endings like en, t, and n. Other irregular verbs retain their spelling to form the past participle. Examples are keep, past participle kept, eat, past participle eaten, caught, past participle is caught, it's retained, and another one, read, the past participle is read. Take note that the spelling of read in base form and past participle are the same, but they are pronounced differently. Again, base form is read and past participle is read. We have numerous examples of past participle of regular and irregular verbs over here. These are just some, there are more on the list which I wouldn't be able to show you all at once. Take note that you must be familiar enough with this past participle form of the verb. Now, this is another significant point that you must know. There are time expressions used before the verb to indicate whether it is in past tense or past perfect tense. The time indicators before, when, and by the time appears before the verbs in simple past tense, while the time indicators after, as soon as, the moment that, and until appear before the verb in past perfect tense. Remember, these time expressions appear before the tense of the verb it indicates. In these examples, please take note that the time expressions are highlighted in blue, verbs in simple past tense highlighted in green, and verbs in past perfect tense highlighted in yellow. First example, Mercy had eaten her breakfast before Juanito asked her to do so. The time expression is before, and the verb in simple past tense is asked. The verb in past perfect tense is had eaten because it has the auxiliary verb had in the past participle eaten. Another example, when Flor called him, Nestor had been planting the seeds. The time expression is when, therefore the verb after it is in simple past tense, which is called, and then it's followed by the verb in past perfect continuous, which is had been planting. It is in continuous form because of the verb that ends in ing, which is planting. Another example, we have Dahlia had prayed the rosary by the time Ben arrived. The time expression here is by the time, and after this time expression we can see the verb arrived, which is in simple past tense, and the verb in past perfect tense is had prayed because it has the auxiliary verb had and the past participle prayed. More examples over here. First one, grandmother baked a cake after she had cleaned the house. Take note that the time expression used is after, and we know that if after is used, the next verb to it is in past perfect tense, and that is had cleaned. And then the verb in simple past tense is baked. It is a regular verb. Another example, the children ate their snacks as soon as they had finished the project. The time expression is as soon as, and the next verb after it is had finished, which is in past perfect tense. The verb in simple past tense is ate. It is an irregular verb. Another one, the moment that Ray had finished the movie, Susan told him to sleep. The verb here is told, which is in simple past tense, and the time expression is the moment that, and the verb after that is had finished, which is in past perfect tense. Again, please take note that if the verb is in simple past tense, it is the verb that happened after the verb in past perfect tense. Now let's try this one. Underline the time expression, circle the verb in simple past tense, and box the verb in past perfect tense. Number 1. The kids ran in the hallway after the janitor had mopped the floor. The time expression in this sentence is after. The simple past tense of the verb is ran, and the verb in past perfect tense is, of course, had mopped. Now take a look. The time expression used is after, and therefore we know that the next verb to it is the verb in past perfect tense, and that is had mopped. Number 2. I had kept my umbrella when the rain poured. Which one is the time expression? That is when. The verb in simple past tense is poured. Look at that. The time expression is when, and we know that after that is the verb in simple past tense, which is poured. So where is the past perfect tense now? It is had kept. Number 3. My father had bought me a pair of shoes before I joined the competition. Which one is the time expression? Okay, it is before, and the verb in simple past tense is joined. The verb in past perfect tense is had bought. Alright, number 4. We went to see a movie as soon as we had finished our exams. The time expression in the sentence is as soon as. In the verb in simple past tense is went. Next, the past perfect tense is had finished. Let's have the last number, 5. The moment that his father had left to work abroad, Sam cried a lot. The time expression in the sentence is the moment that. And then the verb in simple past tense is cried. The verb in past perfect tense is had left. Alright, I hope everything is clear to you now about past and perfect tenses, and I hope you also learned from this video lesson. Thank you very much everybody, and keep on doing great.